Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans. 1973-76 Carryover League. We're continuing in the postseason tournament, second round action. The first place teams playing across division. And we got a series today between the White Sox and Oakland A's. It's really an interesting series. Let's go to the breakdown of what the needs are for this one. It's a simple best of five, as the White Sox are just a half game better than the A's. Sets up a classic best of five series. Good news for these teams. Baltimore did some significant damage to the Detroit Tigers. 3-0 sweep in a series that was just played. So Baltimore is the lofty heights up top. They've rented the penthouse at the top of the American League. Tigers just 4 over 500. So the winner of the series, particularly if they can win it convincingly, like 3-1 or a sweep, could jump to a bye in the playoffs. Not to mention that these guys are hated rivals, Oakland and the White Sox anyway. So you want to beat these dudes anyway. There's a lot of line on this. And it's frankly, it's two teams playing the best baseball right now before the playoffs even begin. So oddly enough, you could theoretically lose this series. It would hurt your, the positioning, but you're still going to the playoffs regardless. But boy, you really want to beat each other up and maybe get a bye if you can. In this one. Game one opens up in Comiskey Park. Oakland sends Catfish Hunter against Wilbur Wood. And folks, Wilbur Wood just does not seem to have it this year, we can say now, as we are deep into a season. As the A's get a Claudio Washington homer in the first. There's no walks here, by the way. You know how the Oakland A's like to walk and get bases loaded walks? Nope. They're just getting their hits off of Wood. Double, single, 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 double, single, double. 7-0. Wood continues through the sixth inning just as something to do. White Sox decide, you know what, let's just use our bullpen an inning a piece just to get a better look at our guys. We don't really get to use Stan Bonds and Mike Garman that much. We're so reliant on Gossage, and then Forster's been getting jacked up this year as well. So, yeah, they collectively complete the game without any more insult to injury, and the White Sox cannot figure out Catfish Hunter. If you remember, Catfish Hunter got trashed on opening day, 11-1, and we were talking about how that card wasn't as good as a 72 card, and the A's are going to be in trouble this year. Well, that ain't the case anymore. Catfish Hunter's ERA is 230-something now for the year we've played, and Wilbur Wood's ERA this year is about 440, 450. So that's the harsh reality at this point with the teams relying, if you want to rely on the aces of each team. With the White Sox, we're of the opinion this is a fantastic 20-man roster, and you don't really have to keep leaning on your traditional Ring of Honor guys like Wilbur Wood or Dick Allen and so forth. You use the whole thing, play to the final out, play for a 7-game series, and just outlast your opponent and finish. That's got to be the strategy this team uses. It's not going to be glamorous. The White Sox aren't going to blow anybody out. They're not going to roll anybody, but they're just got to play a lot of nail-biting games and finish at the end. Game 2. In this one, Ken Holtzman versus Jerry Bell. Because the White Sox, I mentioned they played long. They played a long series against the Twins, so they couldn't set the pitching matchups they liked, which meant Bell has to pitch in game 2. There was nobody else available. Cott pitched 2 days ago, and Johnson can't pitch on 3 days rest. What does Jerry Bell do? He gets the first 15 guys out in this game. Meanwhile, the White Sox get a little aggressive. Henderson singles, steals a base. The ball sails into center field for an error. Comebacker to Kenny Holtzman. He kicks it for an error. Then Campaneris commits an error, and they get 2 runs in this inning. So there you go. This is exactly what I just talked about. The White Sox just need to outlast the opponent and let them screw up and give you stuff and take what they give you. And they just took 2 runs here. 6th inning. Here's an interesting strategy. So they ruin the Jerry Bell perfect game. It's a walk. Then they ruin the Jerry Bell no-hitter with a single. Now, this is the same trap we always see with Strat pitchers. Jerry Bell's a starter 7. So it's like, oh, you got to wait till the 7th inning to pull him. Not if you got this electric bullpen of the White Sox. He gave you 5 perfect innings, folks. Get him out of there. You got a 2-0 lead. They get him out with a shutout, a 2-hit shutout, and he's pulled. And they go Stan Bonson. Why? Well, Bonson is a righty who gets lefties out better than him. And he's got Torres and Claudel Washington due up. So Stan Bonson gives up a walk, but gets out of the inning without any damage. Next inning, Bonson gives up a single to the leadoff guy. Get him out of there. Get Mike Garman in the game. Mike Garman gives up a hit. He gets out of the inning. Still throwing a shutout. Let's go to the 8th inning. Terry Forster's in there. He gives up a walk. Then he gives up a double. Get him out of there. Give me Rich Gossage for the final 4 outs. He strikes out Reggie. The A's, as the A's do, put up a fight in the 9th. A hit and a walk, but Gossage gets the save. And it's a 5-pitcher shutout for the White Sox. This is teamwork, not star work, teamwork by the White Sox. Look at this interesting pitching line. I don't see this very often. 5 pitchers each give up exactly 1 hit in a 5-hitter. Isn't that weird? And 4 of them gave up a single walk. So they're like watching what each other does, I guess. White Sox get a 3-0 shutout, back-to-back shutouts for each team. Oakland has home field. White Sox still have the tiebreaker. Let's go to Game 3 in the Bay Area. It's going to be Jim Cott versus Mike Torres. In this one, in the 2nd inning, after a single and a double play, you get another single, and then Buddy Bradford. It's a 2-run homer, and that's what Buddy can do. Buddy hits like 238, but he's got a lot of power. So you bat him 7th and leave him in there for his great defense. He's been in the 7th spot for the last month. Finally comes through the 2-run dinger. Then in the 4th inning, you get a Lamar Johnson double, and Tony Muser gets an RBI single after a ground ball by Bradford moved Johnson to 3rd. Because I'm telling you, folks, Lamar Johnson ain't scoring from 2nd on a single. Not with those legs. 3-0. Okay, the A's are the A's. They get to Cott a little bit in the 6th inning. A double, a walk, a single. Cott gets out of it. Then in the 7th inning, Campaneris singles, Claudel singles, and Jim Cott, with Wood struggling, is arguably the best starter on the staff. Get him out of there. Why? You got this great bullpen. Let's use it. So it's Mike Garman is brought in. He gives up a fly ball, a sac fly, and an out, and it's a 3-2 game. Then in the 8th inning, Mike Garman goes out to start the 8th inning, and they're like, you're going to pull him, right? Oakland's thinking, and it's like, nope. Forster's ready. Gossage is ready. Nope, he strikes out a batter, gives up a single, and then a double play by Duffy Dyer. You know, they could have chased Garman by bringing in a switch hitter like Onaveras, bringing any of these lefties, Rusty Torres, or even Dick Green, who actually has some power, but they didn't. They called the White Sox bluff, thinking they'd get Forster in this game, or Gossage. Nope. Bottom of the 9th. Garman's still in there. He's going for his 3rd inning of relief. Mike Garman's only given up 1 run in 16 innings. This is a big 3 bullpen the guy has. Gossage is great. Garmin's out pitching Forster. Garmin in the ninth inning, a fly out, a pop out, and then with 2 outs in the ninth inning, he's pulled, rightly so, for Claudell Washington, who's a lefty, and Forster comes in and gets Claudell out to end the game. 3-2. Outlast your opponent. Let them screw up. You've got enough pieces on the White Sox to just play the 9-inning game and just let it go. Dick Allen, Bill Melton, Henderson, Lamar Johnson, Buddy Bradford are the middle of the White Sox lineup for the last month. A catcher and a second baseman, Orta and Stinson, or Downing and Beckert bat first and second. And Coluccio comes in defensively for Lamar Johnson. That's the White Sox this year. We'll see in 2025 or 2026. That's what they are. That's who this team is, and they're up 2-1 in the series. Reclaiming home field. Couple things. We'll look at the standings first at the present moment. This is the best the White Sox have looked all year now. 22-17. But they still got the Twins nipping away, nipping at their heels, you know. And the Brewers. This is really close. These are good, tough out teams. But look out the West here now. Oakland is back to their thing again, 18-16. And the other thing about Oakland is that after their success to climb out of the basement and get back to the top, where they juggled their lineup, they've gone back to the lineup that produced in Game 1, that got cold in Games 2 and 3, with Campaneris back at the top and Claudell Washington. That's the trouble they got into early this year against the good teams, against Baltimore and Detroit and the San Francisco Giants. And the White Sox are another one of those great teams, giving them trouble. But they're sticking with this lineup. And almost in a cruel twist of scheduling, after a day off, we got a rematch of Game 1. And that means Wilbur Wood. And how many, if it's ever happened before, where you're like, oh no, Wilbur's pitching, that's exactly where we're at. They're scared to have Wilbur Wood out here, and he's the best. He's their guy. He is Mr. Chicago White Sox, 24-game winner in 73 with a 3.46 ERA and 359 innings. Folks, Chi Sox, do not put Superman's cape on Wilbur Wood. He doesn't have to do it. Just win and finish the A's in 4 if you can. Catfish Hunter, on a roll and improving. 74, a 25-game winner with a 2.49 ERA. And the more and more you look at it, you realize this card is pretty darn close to that 72 Hunter card that was 13-1 at one point in the season. Sure, it got lit up on opening day, but ever since then, it's come out fantastically for him and the A's. Game 4 in Oakland. Gosh, it's like playoff baseball in the middle of August. You gotta love it. Leading off for the White Sox is George Orta. 57's a strikeout. Bob Stinson, 56, short X. Shortstop, Campaneris at 2.27. Makes the play. And Dick Allen, 5'11", he strikes out. By the way, both teams have waived the extra inning rule with classic matchup Wood and Catfish Hunter there, which means no runner at second base rule. Slight advantage to Oakland. We know the White Sox have a great bullpen, but the A's have thrown 3 consecutive complete games. These guys have moss on them growing, so they want to pitch. They're chopping at the bit to pitch. And Mike Garmin just went 2 2/3 innings, so he has a limited availability. So now it's just Gossage, Forster, and Bonson behind Wood. Also meaning that you kind of want Wood to go deep into this thing and not get knocked around again. Bottom of the first, Burt Campaneris. 47, single 1-9, can't get it. Claudell, 1-9, is a base hit. Ace Steeler, you get the +1 arm of Stinson. He's taken off. Close. He's going to be safe. 15-16, yeah. He's going to be safe on the 13, barely. Bando with a runner in scoring position. 4-10, center X. This is Henderson, a 2-6 in center. And with 2 outs, Reggie Jackson, 3-12 against a lefty. It's strikeout plus injury. So, wow. Big, huge moment here. Reggie's hurt. Has to come out of the game in the first inning. The defense will, Claudio Washington will move over in the right field. And the new center fielder will be a better defensive center fielder, Rusty Torres, in that spot. He's a switch hitter with power, batting in Reggie's cleanup spot, but about 100 points lower in batting average. So that's what you get. Plus, the significance of the best player in your team being out in a potential series clinching game. Top of the second, Bill Melton. 37's a walk. Ken Henderson, 210. Flies to right. Lamar Johnson, 35. Single ... Runners on the corners, 1 out. Buddy Bradford, they're going to play it back. 66 off of Hunter. Triple 1-2. It's a base hit ... And the White Sox have an early lead, 1-0. Buddy Bradford. Runners on the corners for Tony Muser. 412 is a sac fly to right field, picking up that run, being efficient there. Runner at first, 2 outs for Bucky Dent. And Dent, double 1-17 off his card. You got second and third, back up top to Orta. Could really put in a knockout punch here early. Here's the pitch to George Orta. 210 is a fly ball to right. 2-0. Bottom of 2, they strand a couple. And it's Joe Rudy. 3-6 against Wood, flies to center. Darren Johnson, 3-4, flies to left. Gene Tennis, 48, second X. Orta's a 4E20 at second, and then gives up a single. Duffy Dyer, 111, pops to second base. We go to the third. It's Bob Stinson, 46, pops to second. Dick Allen, 58, flies to center. Bill Melton, 36, is a walk. With 2 outs, it's Ken Henderson. 3-6 is a walk. Big moment here for Lamar Johnson, a 320 hitter who's hitting about 321 this year. Already has a hit. Here's the pitch to Lamar Johnson. 62, right X. And here we go, folks. That ain't Reggie and his 2 defense. It's Claudio Washington. He's a 47. Can he squeeze this one in right field? It's a fly ball A. If you're wondering, it was at 4-6, and you got to put the proper defense in. 4-7 for Claudel, and it's a fly ball A. Tough one there for the White Sox. They've stranded 4 in the last couple frames. 2-0. It's Phil Garner. 49, short X. Bucky Dent, a 2E16. Exactly what you need to have in a playoff team, a 2 shortstop. White Sox have checked every box you can. Campaneris, 1-9, grounds a short. Claudio Washington, 2-11, rolls the first. Top of the fourth, Buddy Bradford, who's been a star. 2-run homer yesterday and a RBI today. This guy was really struggling. 39, grounds a short. Tony Muser, 410, lines a short. And Bucky Dent, 110, flies to center. Just misses back-to-back doubles in the same roll. Bottom of the fourth, it's Bando. 2-6 is a base hit. And now you got Rusty Torres against Wood. Doesn't have power, excuse me, as a switch hitter against lefties. Here's the pitch to Rusty Torres. 5-10, you walked him. Wilbur Wood, you walked the 187 hitting Rusty Torres, who hits about 150 versus lefties. He's better versus righties. Can't be doing that. First and second for Joe Rudy. 3-10, you walked him. A's up to their old tricks. The bases are loaded for Darren Johnson. And no, there won't be a quick hook here. They'll play back, looking for a double play. Here's the pitch to Darren Johnson. 55 off the Wood card. Triple 1-4. 2-run single, and the A's have tied the game. You kind of knew, I mean, you could punch these guys in the mouth all you want, but they're going to come back on you. We got a 2-2 tie with runners on the corners, nobody out. And once again, Wilbur Wood is struggling. It's Gene Tennis. They will play back. They really want a double play. 5-11. Pitcher X. Wood can field. He's an E6 pitcher. They really need to catch the double play here. Plug in the E rating. And they get the GBA. So, a run does score. But they get the double play more importantly. So that scores a run, nobody on the bases, there are 2 outs. It's a 3-2 game. It's Duffy Dyer. Single 1 to 9, and he lines out on the 10. So kind of a cranky inning there for Wood, but does get the magic double play on his fielding prowess. 3-2 game into the 5th. And it'll be George Orta. 1-4 flies to right. Bob Stinson, 67. Single 1 to 19, gets the 19, barely. That's the roll on the Hunter card we didn't like. 6-7 against a lefty. In 72, that was single 1 to 2, line out the rest. Now it's single 1 to 19. So you're gonna get that all the time. And that's what we didn't like, and that's what the Tigers were doing on opening day when they battered Hunter. Runner at first for Dick Allen. 2-5 is a K, and with 2 outs, it's Melton. 48 is a pop to second base. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
You know, it's really, you have to look at the walk to Olivares off the wood card. I mean, walk to Torres off the wood card. The Darren Johnson hit off the wood card as the undoing in this game. Oakland doing what they used to do or did so effectively a year ago when they were hot, just taking advantage of all the mistakes your opponent makes. 3-2 game, bottom of the 5th. It's Phil Garner, 64. Catcher's X. This is Stinson, a 4-10. That's a play. Back up top, Bert Campaneris, 3-10 is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Claudio Washington. 1-3 flies to center. Wood regroups nicely in the 5th. We go to the 6th inning. Could this be this extra inning game we've been chasing with a long result? Ken Anderson leading off, 42, rolls the pitcher. Lamar Johnson, 1-6. Let's take a look at the card, folks. Yeah, he's got his 1 hit per game or 1 or 2 hits per game. He's leading the club in hitting. He can hit. Can't do much else, anything very well. He can't catch the ball. He can't run the bases. Can't bunt, can't hit and run. Can't play defense. You get the idea. But boy, can this guy hit. He can hit. 1-6 is a double to center field. It's his 3rd plate appearance. He's in it. Yeah. Let's pinch run. Let's do this now. Let's get Coluccio in. I know they're down a run, and you won't have his bat anymore, but like I said, use the roster. Coluccio will run as a 15 and can easily score on a hit here in the bottom of the lineup. Runner at second, it's going to be Buddy Bradford. 3-7's a K. Now it's Tony Muser. 1-6 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's Bucky Dent. He had a double earlier. Here's the pitch to Bucky. 2-12. Oh, this is disaster. This is a pitcher A plus injury. Yikes. So we'll have to move Orta to short. We can do that and just put Beckert in at second base. That was bad news. Not as bad as the news that the A's don't have Reggie Jackson, but the White Sox don't have their defensive wizard at short to clean up defensively at the bottom of the inning. The good news is they did bring in defense of Coluccio as a pinch runner to the outfield, so the White Sox outfield is in great shape. The infield is a little messy. Bottom of the 6th. 2 injuries in this game have kind of tilted the scales to weird places. It'll be Sal Bando leading off. 45 lines the 1st. Rusty Torres, 1-7 is a pop to 3rd. Should have done that last time. And Joe Rudy, 53, comebacker to the mound. Look at Wood. 1 bad inning. His team's losing 3-2. Into the 7 we go. Back up top to Orta. 56 off 100 is short X. It's Campaneris, a 2E27. Oops, he mixed the play. And if you're wondering, a 2 shortstop, he's a 4 shortstop in this instance. It's a GBC off of the fielding rating, so that's why you don't plug in the extra numbers. This is part of the speed and the strategy of the Excel spreadsheet here. Stinson, 68, second X. This is Garner is a 3E27. Same thing. The 4 range. If you see a parenthesis here, it means E rating reflection. If this was a parenthesis, that would be invoking the E10 E rating, of which Garner's an E27, which is not correct. But it's invoking the fielding rating. And he's a 3, and a 4 defender makes the play, which means the 3 defender makes the play. And with 2 outs is Dick Allen. 58, flies to center field. 3-2 classic here in Oakland. Stretch time. We are enjoying this brilliant Wings of Love, Inspiration Information, double LP, double CD set from Shuggy Otis. They always play this for Oakland most of the time. The first stuff here from the Inspiration Information LP. Then the second disc is stuff recorded late in the decade, early 80s, with some of the people from the Talking Heads involved in that production. Good stuff from Shuggy Otis. Back to the game. Wood continues. Now we will lean on him a little bit. 3-2 game. Could pull him for with Darren Johnson up. Tennis, Dyer, Garner, Campaneris. They lost a lefty in Reggie. So that means your righties would be more effective. Plus, a solo home run could be so brutal to lose a game. Like, you're down 2 and you get 1 run and you lose 4-3. The next 4 batters are all opportunistic versus lefties. I am going to pull Wood, just like I did in Game 1. I'm going to do the same thing in Game 1, and the bullpen came in and did well. And it's the underused Stan Bonson. It's going to come on in the 7th inning of a 3-2 game. Bonson was an Oak, plus this is the other dagger. Stan Bonson pitched for the Oakland A's in 1976. Well, no more. He's pitching for the White Sox now. He was 8-7 with a 3.34 ERA and 143 innings. He'll come on in the 7th, and he will face Darren Johnson. 6-10, third X. This is Melton. He turned a double play with his defense earlier, but this time he surrenders a single. Now you got Gene Tennis. 1-6 is a strikeout. Duffy Dyer, he'll stay in the game against a righty. 58, and he hits Bonson's card. 1-1-3 single. So that strategy, Duffy Dyer, weaker against righties, actually stays in the game against Bonson and gets a single. There's runners on the corners. A Bunning, Phil Garner. They're going to bring the infield up, the number 9 hitter. You roll another 5-8. You're just rolling 5-8s on the Bonson card. It's the same thing. 1-1-3, single dot, and it's a 4-2 game anyway. Tough breaks for the White Sox here. Runners on the corners, A Bunning, Campaneris. Doesn't have power versus righties. This is the scenario we love. The squeezing with a lead, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. We're going to do a Campaneris squeeze because it's something he is known for in his career. 7 will get it done, I believe. Correct? Let me just double check here. So this is actually B. Where's the squeeze chart? Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, A bunter, it works. Not 4. Actually, yeah, 7 is good for all of them. So it's not good for a C bunter, but yeah, that works. The squeeze works. So it's a sack bunt, sack squeeze, runner scores, runner's out at first. Runner at second with 2 outs in a 5-2 game, and it's Claudio Washington. 57 is a K. So Bert Campaneris, known for this, squeezes in a runner at third with 1 out to make it a 5-2 game. That's how Oakland... This is what the nasty Oakland A's would have done in the Dynasty era. Kind of like just to torment you and torture you some more. So Hunter will go back out for the 8th inning. 5-2 lead. They're actually going to improve their defense. It's funny. It's like the A's are actually paying more attention to what's happening in the series, trying to, and instead of being so oblivious to this point. Dick Green will take over at second base, better second baseman. We go to the 8th, 6 outs to get for that completely untouched, full rested bullpen. But Hunter will go out with a 3-run lead. Bill Melton. 2-2 is hit by the pitch. Now you got Ken Henderson. 48 pops to short. Coluccio, not Lamar Johnson. 54, though. You're rolling the pitcher anyway. You get a liner to first. So no disadvantage there to the White Sox and no opportunity. Buddy Bradford, been the recent star of this offense. 6'11", short X. And today it seems to have come up. Wait a minute. It's a Campaneris error there. About to say it's been coming up Oakland, but we're still breathing here in the 8th with the White Sox. It's an E6. You have 2 on, 2 outs, and talking Tony Muser. Let's look at Tony's card. He has power, but he just had 4 homers and 309 at-bats, a 285 hitter. Catfish has given up a couple runs. He's not at the point of weakness because of the error. And he will face, even with his great bullpen, Catfish Hunter is Catfish Hunter, and he is the way the A's go, and he will pitch. Here's the pitch to Tony Muser. 64? Are you kidding me? 64 is the homer chance off of Hunter. It's 1 to 10. He misses it and gets a 13, but it's the only roll you can do off the Hunter card to get a chance to tie the game, and you just got it. A 6-4. Homer 1 to 10. It's the double. Pretty much after one Bradford to make it a 1-run game. He's a 14, 15, 16. You got the -2 in center, which makes it a 14. He scores on a 12. So, breaks on both sides. It's not the homer, but you left Catfish Hunter in to face Muser with a small chance, and you could have avoided that with any of these relievers, such as the guy we're bringing in, and that's enough. So that's weird. The A's, they kind of boned that up with their star Hunter after talking so glowingly about him. They're going to go Raleigh Fingers for a 4-out save. Raleigh Fingers will come on in the 8th inning, with Tony Muser at second base and 2 outs. Fingers, of course, 73, 7-8, 192 ERA, and 127 innings. My goodness. A relief 3, starter 5. Really? Wow. But he's been the closer. And, of course, with the Dent injury, Beckert is the batter. Let's take a look at Glenn Beckert. So, Beckert was let go by the Cubs. And the Cubs were like, we'll bring you back if you can get through waivers. But the Southsiders said, hey, Glenn, why don't you come to the South Side? You wouldn't have to sell your house. You're still in town and whatnot, instead of having to move to another state. And he's like, sure, I'll play for you guys. So Glenn Beckert showed up here with the White Sox in 73. 255 average. The best thing about it is he's a 3-12 second baseman, can bunt, can hit and run for you. Runner at second. Have to lean on his stick here. Here is the pitch to Glenn Beckert. 2-6, just misses the hit and grounds to third base. So we get a ball game here in the Coliseum. Just a nasty game between these two teams. It's a 5-4 game, bottom of the 8th. Bando, Torres, Rudy. I'm going to go Gossage here. We'll go to Rich Gossage in the 8th, down a run. If you lose, he's only pitched 1 inning, and he's fully available for a long run in game, whatever. So Gossage will come on here in the 8th. What's suddenly an interesting 5-4 game. We're right back to where we were before the bottom of the 7th began and the pitching changes happened. This team made the pitching change. This team didn't. So it netted an even plate there. So Gossage comes on in the bottom of the 8th. Let me give you Gossage's stats, I suppose. 9-8, $1.84 ERA, 142 innings. Rich Gossage. He'll face Sal Bando. 2-6, Bando with a single 1-12. He catches it with a base hit. Now I got Rusty Torres. Nothing but righties behind you. He's going to swing away. I was going to have him bunt, but you know what? He's better against righties against lefties, so Rusty Torres will swing away. 43, got the Gossage card, left X. It's Coluccio, the 2E5. The replacement for Lamar Johnson makes the catch. 1 out. And it's Joe Rudy. 68 is a strikeout, and with 2 outs, Darren Johnson. 69 flies to right field. We'll go to the 9th inning, and it'll be the top of the lineup. And what's so weird is that Orta normally is pulled for defense, which would be Beckert. But Dent got hurt, so Orta gets to still be in the game, and he's right where he needs to be. Leading off versus Raleigh Fingers. Here's the pitch to George Orta. 56 off Fingers is short X. Campaneris a 2 shortstop, and he makes the play. 1 down in the 9th. Now you got switch hitter Bob Stinson. 1-6 is ball 4. And with that, the White Sox can send the lead run to the plate, and it's Dick Allen, folks. Let's take a look at Dick Allen. 1973, coming off an MVP year. He has another MVP kind of performance until he gets hurt. He's hitting .316, better than the year before. Producing the same amount of homers and OPS he did the year before. He just got hurt. And, of course, we know what happened. Reggie gets the MVP in 73. And here we go. Big moment for Dick Allen, who is 0 for 4 today with a couple strikeouts. Here's the pitch to Dick Allen. 45 off of Fingers. It's a single to center field. Stinson will hold at second base. Now, one oversight was not having Brian Downing pinch run. But you know what's really strange? I would assume Brian Downing as we know he's a quick catcher, quick-footed catcher, but he's only an 11 runner, and Stinson's a 10, so it wouldn't really matter that much. So we'll leave Downing's availability where it is, and we'll leave Stinson at second base. And it's first and second, Bill Melton. Raleigh Fingers is early 3, so he's not going anywhere. Bill Melton with first and second. He hits into a lot of double plays. This is the thing you got to avoid there, Bill. He's done a great job of that this year. Here's the pitch to Bill Melton. 3-10 is a walk off the Melton card, and the bases are loaded in the 9th for your Chi Sox. And it's Ken Anderson. Boy, I tell you, in a 1-run game, I can't think of a better Chi Sox player to be in this situation, not named Dick Allen, of course, than Ken Henderson, who a walk ties this thing. He's got plenty of extra base hits on this card as well, and doesn't hit into many double plays at, same thing. He's got ground ball Bs on there as well, but Oakland's going to play it back. They're not going to fall for that infield up thing. They're going to play back for the double play here and try and win this 5-4. It's Raleigh Fingers, folks. This is the guy. He doesn't really sweat too much in these situations. Bases loaded, 1 out, playing back for Ken Henderson. And here is the pitch. 1-5, Ken Henderson, long fly ball deep to right field. Grand slam home run in the 9th inning, and the Chi Sox have stormed back to a 8-5 lead off Raleigh Fingers. This whole sequence of events started in the 8th inning when an innocent ground ball to Campaneris, he kicks it for an error. And then, Banjo hitting Tony Muser is allowed to face Catfish Hunter, who almost gets a homer to give him the tie. And Raleigh Fingers is brought in to blow the game in the 9th. 8-5 lead with Gossage already in the game. 1 out in the 9th. It's Bob Coluccio. 34 pops to first. And with 2 outs, it's Buddy Bradford. 1-7, homer 1, fly ball, and he misses it. A quiet Oakland Coliseum. And the Coliseum was rowdy back then, folks. It was. It didn't, obviously when Charlie Finley started dismantling the team, it became the Grand Canyon. But it was rowdy, and it's quiet as a mouse right now as we go in the bottom of the 9th inning. You could put Brian Downing in the game now as a better defensive catcher, though. I don't think the A's would attempt a stolen base down 3. What's the E rating? Oh, you could do it for E rating. Every margin you can get, you get. So Downing comes in for Stinson. All the defense they can put in, they can, or with Orta having to play short. 8-5 game. Gossage needs 3 outs. You have one lefty on the bench. You got to use it as soon as you can if you're Oakland, which is Steve Oliveros. You got Tennis, Dyer, Green. They'll use it for Dyer. So Gossage will face Gene Tennis here in the ninth. 2-8. Yep, you walked him. Gossage walks the first guy he faces, and here comes the switch hitting pinch hitter, Steve Oliveros. Let's take a look at Steve Oliveros. Switch hitter, really nice player. Wasn't associated with the A's. They got him in free agency. Can play a little first, a little third, a little outfielder. He basically takes the Mike Hegan role in this team and the Mike Epstein role in this team they had a year ago as a left-handed bat. Nice on-base percentage. Here's the pitch to Steve Oliveros. 4-11 off Gossage is center X. This is Henderson, your star. He's a 2-6 center fielder, but he surrenders a single defensively. Off the defense. And you got runners on the corners. Again, Gossage in no trouble of breaking. He can go long. He's a relief 4. First and third, nobody out. And the batter will be Dick Green. 1-7, Dick Green. Single 1-10, but he cannot catch it. Big break for the White Sox. Dick Green, single 1-10 on a roll of 1-7, misses it here. And that would have allowed the winning run to come to the plate. The tying run comes to the plate. It's Bert Campaneris. 4-11 off of Gossage's. Is that left or right X? I got to make sure I get this right. Right X. Right X, they're both 2s. The right fielder is Buddy Bradford, who's a 2-3, and Buddy Bradford. So this is horrible. These are great outfielders. Just a refresher. You have 2-5 Coluccio, 2-6 Henderson, and 2-3 Bradford. There's nothing you can do if a team is going to get lucky like this in the ninth inning and hit your great outfield defense to a double. That's a double for Campaneris. That'll score a run. And the tying runs are in scoring position. It's 8-6. And now you got Claudell Washington. I know you're thinking that maybe it's Gossage is not the problem. Gossage is certainly not the problem in this game. This game is about these wild, rare, low percentage gets both teams are having that, you take what are your team's chances to win the game, and you're crisscrossing like back and forth in this thing with wild swings. Just to recap, it's 8-6. You got Oliveros at third, Campaneris with wheels at second. A single could tie this thing. Base is open. Good news for the White Sox. Reggie Jackson is not in the lineup in the ninth. He'd be the third batter due at this point. Here's the pitch to Claudell Washington. 47 off of Gossage. That's the hit. It's a single to right field. You could tie it right here off of Bradford's -2 arm. Campaneris is going to do it. It's going to be a 15 to tie the game. It's an 8. He ties the game, and Gossage blows the save. A 2-run single here by Claudell Washington, a future former member of the White Sox. It's 8-8. What a wild one. Just a ridiculous, wild game. And what I say, extra innings, there's no runner at second. And this thing could go forever. So Claudell's on at first in an 8-8 tie with 1 out in the ninth inning. Unbelievable here. You got the -1 on a Downing. Do you want to steal? You do have the righty, the lefty, the righty, the righty. So Gossage is going to get more leverage here. So you would like to get into scoring position as soon as you can. You're playing with house money at this point. You're the home team, and it's 8-8. Claudell's going to take off. He's out on a 17. So that move can be questioned. He attempted a stolen base, but you're trying to beat Gossage with the winning run here already on the bases instead of starting another inning with it. So he gets thrown out. There's 2 outs, and it's Sal Bando. Now you're down to the solo homer chance to get a walk-off. Here's the pitch to Sal Bando. 1-8 is a strikeout. Fitting. I have to say this is completely fitting here. After what has transpired into a relatively, well-played, crisply played game. We've had really wild pitching changes and defensive lapses, errors here, hits off of talented outfielders there, a grand slam there. We've had it all. And we're going to continue. I'm going to do the bookkeeping for the innings pitched before we start the extra innings here. And our guys aren't going anywhere. Remember Raleigh Fingers? He's a relief 3, starter 5. He hasn't pitched in like a week. So he can easily match Gossage if we want to do it that way. Burn both our arms down, make them unavailable for a Game 5 if there is a Game 5. And that's what the choice will be. As we start the 13th inning. Now, we had some moves here. Olivares entered the game. And Dick Green entered the game. Rusty Torres is in the game. Let's make sure we can put these guys everywhere. Olivares came in for a catcher, which means Gene Tennis will just go to catcher. So Tennis and Olivares flip positions. Green's at second base for Phil Garner. Torres is in the outfield for Reggie. And Claudel has to also play the outfield. And that is that. All right, we go to the 10th. I'm so glad I don't have to keep track of that stupid runner at second base. It'll be Tony Muser leading off. 47 off Fingers, a single 1-7. He cannot get it this time. Glenn Beckert. 67 is a K. And with 2 outs, it's back up top to George Urda. 5-10. It's a strikeout. By the way, point of weakness, still, nope, for neither guy. Bottom of the 10th. It's Rusty Torres. What a day he's been there. This is his 4th plate appearance. 1-9, you walked him. Just too much of that. He's walked twice, a 183 hitter. Now you got Joe Rudy. He's an A bunter. Rudy is a 293 hitting A bunter. But with all those righties and Gossage, no, he's going to swing away. Joe Rudy. 312, you walked him anyway. And now you got Darren Johnson. This would be the move. Again, you're a right-handed batter against Gossage. And you got to get to some... Olivares is a lefty coming up soon. The one drawback if you were to attempt a sack bunt here is that Tennis is probably going to walk or get out, and Olivares is going to potentially walk. So you need a lot of walks. So a sack bunt doesn't go well for a team that walks so much and doesn't get enough hits. Moreover, Johnson's just a C bunter anyway. Moreover, Johnson can just crush the ball with a homer. So Darren Johnson will swing away. 3-9, you walked him. This is incredible, folks. So now this is on Gossage, but really it's on the fact that they've rolled all this on their cards. Torres, Rudy, and Darren Johnson. The Oakland A's are finally doing Oakland A's stuff in the bottom of the 10th inning, getting all the walks on their cards, and it's just Gene Tennis. Let's take a look at him. So the king of the walks on the Oakland A's is in the box. He had 101 of them in 1973. There's nothing you can do here. Bring it all up. Bring the infield up for Gene Tennis. Here's the pitch. We need strikeout, and then something better after that. Here you go. 2-8, and there it is. The 4th consecutive walk on Oakland's cards to end the game. 9-8. It's so funny. 8 is a symbol I use for a walk for scoring purposes. And it was an 8-8 tie, and the 4th walk of the inning makes it 9-8 as a final. So Gossage is not scoring out in this disastrous 10th inning, and that is the final. 9-8 in 10 innings. Gossage goes 2 innings plus 4 batters. He'll have limited availability in Game 5, as will Fingers, probably an inning for each. They just went 2. That's the game. 9-8. Comiskey Park will be the place for Game 5. White Sox will have home field advantage, and of course they have the tiebreaker. So yeah, all they have to do is win, and they presently could theoretically be in a number 2 seed if they could win Game 5 at home. Game 5, it's Bart Johnson for the White Sox. Haven't seen him yet. And Ken Holtzman for the Oakland A's. What a marathon this has been. So we will give you the box for this and the results of Game 5 after the break, so stay tuned. What a wild series, folks. Here's the box score for Game 4 that you just saw. Somewhat remarkable with all the ebbs and flows, strategies backfiring and working perfectly, and all sorts of weird variance in this one. It's a 9-8 victory. A couple things to glean from this. Of course, Gossage's line is 2 innings, 4 hits, 5 walks, 4 runs, and 2 Ks. Closer dive looks like this run is on his defense, this run's on his defense, and all these walks on Oakland's card. So you're going to get that off of any pitcher you want to put in that game. It's not Gossage. He just happened to be the guy summoned for that fiasco. And so I don't think the White Sox are certainly going to lose any faith in him. Bonson, he came in the 7th inning, a questionable move, and they rolled 5-8 back-to-back times. 1-1 twice. That happens. Wood had an inning here where he put 4 men on, 3 of them score. The rest of the time, he was good, but he also pitched just 6 innings the first time. And looking at the starting pitching of the White Sox, I don't know where Wood ranks anymore. Cott, Johnson, I definitely think are better, and Jerry Bell's actually outpitched Wood. In that regard, Hunter went 7 2/3, had a little bit of a Grady Little moment, left in there with a completely well-rested bullpen. Fingers gave up 4 base runners. They all, of course, would score on the Grand Slam. And that's it. From the Coliseum, 9-8. So the White Sox have to erase the memory banks, and go back to the strategy, use your full roster, play it till the finish, find weaknesses in your opponent, and see if you can exploit them in a Game 5. Kenny Holtzman versus Bart Johnson, first start in the series, and the White Sox were like, we are so fine with him there. We want this guy. We've been leaning on him. He strikes out the side in the first inning, by the way. White Sox get a double and a walk in the first, then they strand him. Bottom of the second inning, they get 3 singles and score a run. Here's an interesting move in the third inning. Dick Allen reaches on an error. We attempt a stolen base. He hasn't stolen much. He's a C stealer now. He gets caught stealing. But pin that one on the wall there, folks. It's going to come up. They get a couple hits after the caught stealing, and again don't score a run. So that means they put 8 men on base, only scored once. In the 6th inning, Brian Downing walks. He steals a base. The suddenly aggressive White Sox runners. Moves up on a error by Dick Green, short-handed second baseman. With 2 on and 2 outs, Dick Allen rolls homer 1 of 14 on his card. Misses it, settles for the double. We run Beckert, misses it, gets thrown out of the plate. Instead of a 4-0 lead or a 3-0 lead, it's a 2-0 lead. Doesn't matter. We got our guy Bart Johnson in there with a 1-hitter. Into the 7th, he strikes out Campaneris. Then Rudy doubles. And nope, ain't taking our guy out. You've taken this guy out too many times this year. Gives up a single to Reggie. Ain't taking our guy out. You've taken this guy out too many times this year. Gives up a single to Sal Bando. Okay, we're taking the guy out. So after hitting the point of weakness with 3 straight batters, the White Sox, remember this Mike Garman guy? This is the guy who pitched 2 2/3 innings 2 games ago, had a day off, and he's been brought into this high leverage moment. Faces Gene Tennis, he gives up a double, and suddenly all that early success of the White Sox is again erased. The game is tied. Garman gets out of the inning with 2 more outs. Bottom of the 7th, the White Sox get a single by Lamar Johnson. They don't do anything with it. We're leaning on Garman in the 8th, 3 up and 3 down. But Kenny Holtzman seemingly taking it off the hook. 3 up and 3 down. We go to the 9th. Garman's still in there for his 3rd inning, just like he was 2 games ago. He gets a walk. Reggie, a 4-6-3 double play by Reggie Jackson in the 9th. 2 outs, nobody on. Garman gets up a single. And then Gene Tennis walks, and then we have to pull the plug on Garman because this is finally the point of weakness on our relief 3. So we go to Stan Bonson and Gossage could be brought in. We're not crazy about Forster as a lefty in this situation. So we go to Bonson, who gave up a run his previous outing. Doesn't matter, he gets a strikeout. So he gets the final out of the ninth inning, gets out of it. Bottom of the ninth, meanwhile, Kenny Holtzman, with this breath of fresh life, is competing for 9 innings, knowing that he's got 4 relievers with Raleigh Fingers used a lot to go into the 10th. He strikes out Beckert. Now here's the interesting move here. Dick Allen singles. He tries a stolen base again. And this time he gets it. So Dick Allen was caught earlier. You haven't been running him as a C-stealer all year. Tennis has a 0 arm. So we're taking that shot in a series clinching moment. He steals the base. So Dick Allen's wheel steals second. That opened up a spot at first. And Holtzman's a little more scared of Bill Melton here than he is against Henderson and Johnson, who are better against righties. Melton's better against lefties. So he walks Bill Melton. So that's all created by the stolen base of Dick Allen. He gets Ken Henderson to fly out. But then the final batter of the game, Lamar Johnson, doesn't have a lot of power as home runs. He does have power on the card, just not a ton of them. Doesn't matter, he rolls Kenny Holtzman's card. He rolls a 5-4 on Ken Holtzman's card. Again, almost in a similar thing with Catfish Hunter. The A's, it's like Billy Martin's managing this team, where Billy Martin leaves his starters in there too long. They leave Kenny Holtzman in there. A 5-4 off the Holtzman card is a walk-off homer. The White Sox have a grand slam and a 3-run homer in the 9th inning of their last 2 games. They won one of them. They win the game 5-2 on a Lamar Johnson walk-off to the delight of the Comiskey Park fans and win the series 3-2 and have won back-to-back series. And they have won 8 of 12. So the White Sox, it's not going to look glaringly juggernaut-esque, but they're playing some good baseball with losses still sprinkled in there. They're still playing well. Highly contested battles. It's just a tough schedule. Very competitive league is the American League, even though here we are. The A's are 19-17, seemingly still. Remember, anytime these other teams win a game, they only pick up a half a game to, half at a time. White Sox do indeed end the series, game and a half ahead of the Twins. And again, the Twins would have to beat California 3 straight to be tied with the Chi Sox. And the White Sox would still have the tiebreaker because they won 5 of 7 after previously losing 3 of 7. So they have a +1 in the tiebreaker column. So they have the tiebreaker with the Twins anyway. So I think the White Sox are probably going to be comfortable winning this division if that's the case. And more good fortune is, if the White Sox are not forced to play any more baseball, they can just sit and wait. The Tigers want to play more baseball because they want to get to a tie. They have a tiebreaker over the White Sox. Unfortunately, they can't get to use it because they're a half a game back. You don't use a tiebreaker unless there's a game to break a tie with. There's no game scheduled between the White Sox and the Tigers to invoke that. So that's where it is, unfortunately, for Detroit. And right now, I got to put this like this. They can go from 1 with 3 as we sit here today. And these guys have kind of jumped them to a 2. Plus, don't have to play in the wild card round and can rearrange. I mean, these are exhausting series. They played maximum 7 games and 5 games against the Twins and A's, the White Sox have. So they're kind of tired, and they need to regroup with a series off, you would think, in the 3rd round of the tournament there. But what a fun American League this is. Orioles are watching in good shape. So the American League first round seeding is done. It looks like Baltimore will win the division. And then in the practicality of things, the Ohio players would have to go on they'd have to sweep the Yankees, I think, for them to somehow get into a tie and force the Tigers to play. There is a scenario, believe it or not, where the Ohio players, well, either team really, if either team gets to 4 over 500 and forcing one of them to play in the third round, and then in the third round they win some more games, they theoretically could add 2 to what they have here and add 2 more and be 6 over 500, and that would move the White Sox back to a 3. That is a scenario, probably remote, but that scenario does exist in a very, when these winning percentages are this low. And looking at the Oakland's record at this point a year ago was 23-8. The White Sox are in the same spot at 23-18 that the Oakland was in, and Oakland's 19-17 this year. So that's it today. Break up the Chicago White Sox. They came back home and they did what they needed to do. Again, they outlasted their opponent, winning the series 3-2. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.